Thanks for tuning in to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. Here you'll find tips, insight, and information to help your music and your ministry succeed. Whether you're a singer, a musician, or a songwriter, we want to help you where you are, but we also want to help you get to where you want to go. We believe that our talents are God's gift to us, but what we do with those are our gift back to God. Yesterday's information is important, but what we can learn today will make this the best day yet. Hello, Rob Novell here with the CNS podcast, The Best Day Yet. Hope this finds you doing well today. Thank you again. I know I've said this before, but thank you for taking time out of your schedule to tune in to the Charles Novell podcast, The Best Day Yet. Man, we are here to help offer you tips and suggestions that will help you make your music and your ministry the best that it can be. We believe that an effective ministry is a polished ministry. So we believe that we should do everything that we can do to perfect the gifts that God has given us. 2 Timothy says, study to show thyself approved. And my father, Charles Novell, believed in that scripture, and I heard him quote that over and over and over through the years. So again, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to tune in and to listen to this, to maybe the title connected you, the title brought you in, and you're looking to improve potentially in that area. So I, again, appreciate your time and you tuning in. Hey, I want to mention again, we are continuing to get closer and closer, and I get more and more excited as the registrations keep coming in for CNS 23, which will be held July 16th through the 22nd at Murray State University, which is in Murray, Kentucky. And we want you to be part of this experience with us. Yes, CNS, the Charles Novell School of Music, is a school of music, you all, but it is so much more. It's a place where you can come and perfect your music. We work with you right where you are, whether you're a beginner or an advanced student. We will meet you at the level that you are, but we want to help you get to where you're going. So yes, we are definitely a music school, but it's also a place just to come, get encouraged and motivated. Sometimes the most important thing is just getting that little nudge to step out. We talked about comfort zones a couple episodes back. Sometimes just coming to CNS is a good way just to get encouraged and motivated, you know what, to step out and do what it is that you've been called to do. So it's a place to find motivation, encouragement. Man, it is spiritual renewal, you all. We prioritize. We start each day with and in the Word and devotions and kind of chapel services. We'll have some worship. We will have some speaking and some teaching and some time in the Word. It's all about priorities. And then literally we book in the day of music classes with evening concerts that generally turn into church services. We don't have a order of service or anything happening in the evenings minus just being obedient and trying to walk in a level of discernment to allow God to do exactly what he wants to do. And we'll have people and students that will leave differently than they showed up in the area of their spiritual walk. And so it's a place to get spiritual renewal. It's also a place to find your call. I know for me, I can keep this real personal. I grew up in the school, and the school was vital and instrumental in me finding the call on my life. So it's a place to find your call. And last but not least, man, it's a place to find a family. CNS, we have a community. We have a family where we uplift each other throughout the course of the year. We encourage, we motivate on a 12-month basis, man. When there is a need, we join together as a CNS family and help pray for one of our brothers or sisters. So it's a place you're going to find a family. If you are new to CNS and you've never been, it is an amazing experience, and it's a life-changing experience. So I really want you to consider and pray about being with us July 16th through the 22nd. If you've got any questions at all, you can get more information at our website, which is www.cnsmusic.com. You can register right there on the website for our next national session at Murray State University in July. You can also follow us on Facebook. We give out quite a bit of information there. So you can follow us on Facebook under the Charles Novell School of Music. And we have a YouTube channel. I don't know that we've pushed or talked much about that, but there are promotional videos and different things that will give you a glimpse inside of what CNS is all about. So you can find us on YouTube under the Charles Novell School of Music. Okay, let's get into our topic for today. And I'm excited about today's topic because it's I think it's something that's vitally important, and from what I see, maybe one of the most overlooked aspects of what we do. But I think after we talk a little bit today, I'm hoping to not necessarily raise the red flag or sound the alarm, but I think now that we talk about this, I want it to be something that you look into. How do you handle this? How do you do this? What exactly is your audience seeing? Now, I know we talk a lot about what are they hearing, but today we're talking about stage presence. I want to talk about what it is that they are seeing. And I've got a situation, well, not a situation, it's just where we are. This weekend, March the 25th, I am in Georgia. I teach here. I teach at a couple church academies, and the Church of God out of Cleveland, Tennessee denomination has a program called Teen Talent. I've talked about this before. Literally, I'm not talking to you right now had it not been for the Church of God's Teen Talent program. Again, my dad, Charles Novell, won the very first National Church of God Teen Talent competition in 1962 in Memphis, Tennessee, and that led to a phone call 2 weeks later from James Blackwood hiring my dad into then at that time, the Stamps Conservatory of Music, which through the years has turned into what we're talking about today, and that's the Charles Novell School of Music. So Teen Talent's vitally special and important on my life. I went through this in 82, 84, 86, 88. Through the 80s, I was a teenager and was part of this Teen Talent competition. But this Saturday, I have 8 students in Georgia competing in the Church of God State Teen Talent. And the last couple of weeks within lessons, and definitely this is the focal point as I work with my students this week leading into Saturday, we've been talking about some different things in the area of stage presence. And I've told them this. I want you over this week, I want you to do a couple things. I want you to practice in front of a mirror, or I want you to video your songs and watch them back. And the reason I wanted them to do that, I'm sitting across the room from them, watching them do their thing. And I am seeing some things that, yes, I can point out, but a lot of times, you all, if we see it ourselves, it becomes that red flag that I mentioned earlier, and it becomes we become more aware because we literally can see it ourselves. So we may talk about that a little bit here in a moment. So I don't know whether you call it star power, the X factor, or simply stage presence it literally can be hard to describe, but very easy to spot and very easy to recognize. Stage presence refers to the certain charisma and charm that a performer needs and possesses that draws the audience and commands their full attention. Basically, it's how we connect to a room full of people, whether that room full of people is 5 or 500. How we handle ourselves on stage can truly help us with how we connect during our time in that room. So we're going to talk again some things about it today and give you some tips and some suggestions. Listen, you all, we've talked practice, and practice is important. We've talked about being prepared. We've talked about confidence. We've talked about stepping out of our box and stretching ourselves. And all of that, listen, is vitally important. But I believe that it's really only about 50% of the big picture. I think this other 50% is how we connect with the audience. And the word stage presence, or words, or the term stage presence, is exactly that. It's how we are going to connect with a room full of people. So, does stage presence really matter? I've had this debate and conversation with some people. Um, there's the huge debate between ministry and entertainment. Yes, I said the E word, entertainment. Here's the thing. I believe we need to have both. I think that if we just show up and we just sing and speak to people just out of our heart, yeah, that's important. That's where it needs to come from. But I think if we intentionally do some things to help keep their attention, then we're going to be more successful when we leave that place, and having made sure that we have planted seeds of the gospel of Jesus Christ in their hearts. So we're going to talk about some things. Yes, it is important, and we're going to talk about that today. Does it matter? Yeah, stage presence, quite simply, can be a defining factor on your success as a performer. Of course, it's not everything. We've talked, we need talent. We have to perfect our craft and our calling. That's why we're here. That can all happen without stage presence, but it does matter in how we connect with the group. All the stage presence in the world, honestly, it's important, but it won't help an untalented or undisciplined performance or a performer. If you haven't worked some of the other areas we've talked, and you know what, maybe intentionally, these topics vary on a week to week basis, but maybe why we're talking this on the backside of a couple weeks worth of episodes on practice. I definitely believe that was the leading of the Holy Spirit, because we can't get the cart before the horse. We can come out there and we can wow them with our stage presence. But listen, if what they're hearing is bad, if it's out of tune singing and out of the pocket timing within our rhythms, then we can I don't know, we can juggle flaming bowling pins, but we're not going to keep their attention if it sounds bad. So I think the order that we're doing these has been maybe God ordained. Okay. But here's the thing. When we combine skill, experience, and hard work with good stage presence, I think we create a combination that turns a good performer into a great performer. And listen, again, please understand, the Charles Novell School of Music is all about ministry. But at the same time, we believe in effective ministry as a polished ministry. So if I use the word entertainment or I use the word performance, please don't check out on me, because I believe everything that we do. Honestly, I believe when a preacher is preaching a sermon, he's performing. If that preacher, that pastor, that evangelist, if they mix in some comedy, some real story and testimony of their own personal life, I think it allows them to deliver their message in a more powerful way. I think it makes them vulnerable to the point that the listener accepts them as equal, and not, well, wow, that guy's on a pedestal so far above me, I can't reach him. This past weekend, I had a talk with someone about, think about it. Our heroes in the Bible, honestly, were horrible people. They did things that were wrong. They questioned themselves. They second guessed themselves. They didn't feel qualified to do what God needed them to do. But listen, God excels in using ordinary people to do extraordinary things. I mean, that's the God that we serve. He is a big God, and he can get the most out of whatever vessel that he chooses to use. So, I think stage presence is important, and entertainment and some fun and excitement sprinkled in to our songs and our testimonies and our ministry, I think it just makes for 100% for a more successful outing and a more successful stop wherever it is that you are ministering on that given day. Stage presence is it's more than the ability to play and sing the right notes. Essentially, a good stage presence pulls the audience into the performance. It gives you the ability to make the audience connect with you as the performer in your performance and connect them in the story being told. Listen, if you can relate to someone and you can connect with them, then it's putting you into a place where you can allow the story of your songs, the story of the verses you're sharing, the story of your testimony to connect to them. And in turn, it's going to allow them to connect to what you're doing, and in turn to express, what the audience feels. It's going to allow you literally to control kind of the environment or the temperature of the room, so to say. So let's talk some things. What is stage presence? If you've listened this far and you're like, I have no clue what he's talking about, it's how you handle yourself on the platform. For years and years, I heard my dad use this example. I heard him tell a lady one time, he said, look, I could walk up there with a piece of chalk, draw a circle around your feet, and for the last 5 minutes, you did not move out of that circle. So I would venture to say, if you were up there for 40 minutes, you may still not step out of that circle. We have the ability, and we should think, to utilize the entire platform that we've been given. If we stand in one place for 40 minutes, it's limiting how effective that we can be with our ministry on that particular day. Move to the left. There are people sitting on that side of the room. Move to the right. There are people sitting over on that side of the room. And if you move those directions and engage those people, you're going to connect to those people. The other way we do that is with eye contact. You literally can stand center stage if you'll scan the room and make eye contact from the left side to the middle to the right side of the room. And as you are moving through a song or through your program, make it a point to look around that room. Back to my students on Saturday, I was talking to one young lady about this the other day. I said, man, you got to make eye contact around the room while you're singing. And she said, you know what? There's a certain person, if I make eye contact with them, it's all over. They get me tickled when I see them. And so here's what I told her. Don't look them in the eye. Absolutely. If you know there's someone there that's going to cause the bottom to drop out, and you all, I have those people in my life. I was in a setting back in the fall, and I was there with Roy Webb, one of our piano instructors. And if you don't know Roy traveled with Ernie Haas and Signature Sound as a pianist, and then after that, he was with Gold City. I have used Roy in the studio over the years. Roy Webb is absolutely, hands down, one of the funniest humans I've ever met in my life. And I was in a setting back last November. Roy was sitting on the front row of the left side of this particular room, and I was on the front row of the I was on the front row of the right side of this room. And we were in this situation where I'm thinking two things in my head. Number one, I was asking God to help give me the words that I needed to share when this particular performance, I'll just put it out there, that we were listening to was to wrap up. I knew I was going to have to stand up and address a room full of people. And the first thing I'm doing is asking God to give me the right words to say in that moment. It was a teachable moment, and I wanted to do and say what God wanted me to do and say, not necessarily what Rob needed or wanted to say in that moment. I wanted to make sure that God was leading my words. The second thing going through my head was, do not make eye contact with Roy Webb. Do not make contact with Roy Webb, because I knew if I made eye contact with Roy Webb, that whole God give me the words would have went out the window because again, you all, Roy is one of the funniest humans I've ever been around in my life. I love being around him because I know when I leave, I'm going to have laughed and had a good time and enjoyed my day. So if there's someone that you can't look at, don't look at them. Don't look at them. I heard it said this way many, many years ago. You can pick a spot on the back wall of the room and look at that spot. You know, most churches have a clock center back wall of the church. And there's a lot of times that when I'm speaking, delivering, looking out at the crowd, I'm looking at a fixed object like a clock on the wall. I'm looking at the attendance plaque to the left of the doorway at the back wall of the church. I'm looking into the corner at a window. I'm looking just slightly up into the balcony of the church. You don't necessarily have to make exact eye contact with someone, but scanning the room with your eyes, that allows you to connect with the room. We will talk about stage presence can be using your hands to make hand gestures that would complement and work with, say, the lyric line of the song. If you're singing about heaven, there's nothing wrong with raising a hand and a finger and pointing upward and connecting the fact that heaven is above us. Those are little things. Some other things, you can use certain tools on the platform as maybe what we call props. At times, a mic stand, you all, can be a very effective part of your stage presence. I love to see a quartet where the four guys, the intro kicks off, four guys are kind of a couple steps back. We get to the end of the intro, those four guys step up to their mic and, flat-footed, just start singing. Those mics are on a stand. They start singing. Maybe the song gets to the second verse or the final chorus, and kind of in unison, they take the mics off the stand, set the stands behind them, take a couple steps forward, and man, those are moments where they are connecting with the audience. That builds excitement. That creates energy in the room, and all of this is essential in connecting with your audience. So use those mic stands as a prop or a tool. A stool, you all, is another really good way. Maybe on a slower, more intimate song, set that stool center stage, lower your mic stand and set on that stage, or even hold the microphone and set on that stool center stage and deliver that song to the room. At some point, have it kind of pre-planned that, you know what, I want to get up off this stool, maybe pick the stool up and set it behind me to make it clear I'm done with this. And I'm going to take a couple steps forward. And again, you've created a rememberable moment. I'm trying to get that word out. A rememberable moment. I'm just not saying it a third time because I'll butcher it. That audience is going to remember. That, again, is a chance of connecting. So hand gestures are good, but here's the thing. We don't want to make these over theatrical. We're not on Broadway. Even though you may be at First Baptist on Broadway Street, that's not the Broadway I'm referring to. We don't want this to come across that it is overworked, over theatrical, where it is. You notice I've not said showmanship, even though I think we could safely use that term and talk about that. But I'm not asking you to create a three-ring circus in the middle of your service, but I'm asking you to do some things that are going to help you on stage connect with the audience. Jokes, you all, I love humor. I love watching humor interacted into a service. I don't think it is disrespectful in any way. I think people love to have fun. I remember as a kid, I don't know if it was my grandparents or my parents, but somebody had a subscription to Reader's Digest. And I remember as a young child, running across the laughter is the best medicine section of that Reader's Digest. And y'all, that title, that phrase has stuck with me my entire life. I think it's very, very true that laughter can be the best medicine. If you have been out and performed in concerts or church services, you have been exactly where I'm fixing to describe. If you haven't, it's coming. Eventually, you're going to run into this situation. There's a lot of places I get, and a lot of times I'll do the first three songs without any breaks or any pauses. And honestly, you all having your set list done in advance is part of your stage presence. I've been to too many concerts where a group gets done with the song and then they turn around and start talking with each other about what's our second song going to be. No, 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 no. Have all that worked out in advance. But I've been a lot of places I've done three songs before I've said a word. I minister from the piano. I do what I call instrumental worship to an instrumental God when I go out for services. And so I'll do three songs from the piano, and then I turn around, grab the mic, and I'm going to talk and greet the crowd. Most of the time in that setting, I spin around, I look out there, and there are people looking at me. Some are going, who is this guy? Some are looking at their watch saying, when is this going to be over? And then I've got those that will look at you, and this is what you've all experienced. They look at you like, bless me if you can. I've heard it before. I'm going to hear it again. And what are you going to do to capture my attention and make me happy over the next hour? And so it becomes my goal, you all, to connect with every single person in that room. So a lot of times I'll use a joke or a funny story in this setting as an icebreaker. I have certain songs that I can do that I know are going to shift the environment and the temperature in the room. I don't know. I know we did this on one of our online schools. I don't know if I've made this a podcaster yet. I'm going to have to go back and check. And if I haven't, we'll do a podcast called Thermostats and Thermometers. There are some of us that we are thermometers. We can take the temperature of the room at that moment after those three songs, and they're looking at me like, bless me if you can. That temperature of that room is it's cold. And then we have thermostats. The thermostat person is someone that can change now the temperature of the room. God's given me the ability to be both, to be a thermostat and a thermometer. I can take the temperature of the room and then I can change the temperature of the room. Jokes, comedy, some icebreakers are a great way to change the temperature of the room. So incorporate some jokes in there, some stories that people are going to relate to. The last one kind of on this list is, as far as stage presence tips, be real. Y'all, people can spot fake a mile of the way. I've had people say, well, I just go out there and I fake it till I make it. That ain't gonna work. That is gonna that's gonna crash and burn, y'all. People know real. Go out there, be genuine. Nothing that I do in the area of stage presence is something that is not already Rob. So, how can we improve on these areas? Number one, we need to relax. If you come across stiff and robotic during your performance, it's going to seem unnatural and forced. And that's going to make it more difficult for the audience to find your performance believable. So in keeping it real, we just got to relax. Confidence plays into this. We need to know when we go in, you need to work your stage presence as much as you work your music. It's something that you need to work on. Practice. The more comfortable you feel on stage, the better you'll be able to give a better, more convincing performance. This comfort level can only come with feeling completely confident in your ability to nail every passage, to hit every note, and to know your role inside and out. You play as you practice, we've said before. Become as comfortable as possible with not only every element of your performance, but with simply performing in front of an audience as well. The mirror thing, the video thing that I talked about earlier, it's important that you sing in front of a mirror, record your next group practice, and then play it back. And that's going to allow you to see what the audience sees. The next thing is to study, to polish your stage presence. Study the work of those who exhibit skill in that area. Find performers who captivate you and study how they act and behave. Watch YouTube, watch videos of different groups that you feel excel in this area and learn from them. Grab some techniques that they use. You may have to spin it in such a way that, again, it's more real and comfortable for you to use it. But look at those who exhibit that skill in that area. Find performers who interest you and hold your attention, and find out what are they doing to do that. So that's just a few ways in a short amount of time today that we can introduce stage presence to you, give you tips and suggestions to help you maybe improve in this area or implement this into your music, your ministry, and your performances. I promise you, if you do, you're going to engage better with the audience. My dad would tell me this way, Robbie, if you connect with the audience during your performance, it's going to help your product table. People will want to come and go home with what they experienced if they have and experience a good time. And if they do, if you go and you give a service, you're ministering, you're performing a concert, and you engage with the crowd, you engage with the audience, and they have a good time, think about it. You're helping make that literally their best day yet. Y'all be blessed. Until next time, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under the name the Charles Novell School of Music. And for more information on CNS and our upcoming events, like our online school, our weekend regional sessions, our creative coaching, and our pastor's retreat, you can visit us at our website at www.cnsmusic.com. As you've listened to this episode, we hope that you've gained some information that you can apply to your music and to your ministry to make today the best day yet.